Hey guys, what's up? Shin0525 here, coming at you with another video. And today's video, I want to talk about Soul Calibur. Here I have Soul Calibur 3 here. This is my favorite fighting game of all times. Easily, and that's really, like, I'm very particular when I say, like, favorite game of all time. Because, like, I don't think I have a favorite video game of all time yet. But I can easily say, for fighting games in general, Soul Calibur 3 is my favorite of all time. I think this is the pinnacle of fighting games. Nothing's ever going to change my mind on this. I absolutely adore this game. But with that being said, I want to talk about the guest characters in Soul Calibur, which ironically, Soul Calibur 3 does not have any. But yeah, no, I want to talk about the guest characters because I think Soul Calibur really struggles in this regard. Because most of the games, with the exception of Soul, or I guess technically Soul Blade, Soul Calibur 1, and Soul Calibur 3, those are the only three games that don't have guest characters in them. The rest have guest characters in them. And again, I think Soul Calibur struggles with their guest characters. I don't think they pick a lot of good ones. And hopefully this video will help. Hopefully Namco Bandai will see this and they'll be like, oh, we'll avoid the characters that this kid on the internet said to avoid, because he knows what he's talking about. He's wearing fucking sunglasses. How does he not? Anyway, but so let's go over all the guest characters that have been in Soul Calibur. And let's start with the first and probably the best guest character that has ever been in the Soul Calibur franchise, which is Link from The Legend of Zelda. Everybody knows Link in Soul Calibur 2. That is a great guest character because, and here's the reason why I think, like, what makes a good guest character is, one, they have to attract a new audience. And that is exactly what Link did for me. And I think a whole bunch of other people, because I never even heard of Soul Calibur until Soul Calibur 2 came out with Link being in the game. In fact, I had a demo disc for GameCube that had a demo of Soul Calibur 2 in it, where you could play as like Siegfried and Cassandra. And after you like beat like the arcade mode, it showed off a trailer with Link in it, and that made me need to get that game. And after I got Soul Calibur 2, I became a lifelong fan of Soul Calibur in general. And that is the big point of guest characters, is not to expand the fan base, so to reach out to other like fan bases and make them like lifelong Soul Calibur fans. That's the big goal of guest characters. So get them in with like the new character, but then make them fall in love with the game itself. So I think Link did that perfectly. What a great guest character. But also in Soul Calibur 2, we had Spawn and Heihachi. I think they were okay. I think Spawn was just a weird one. I don't think people that really like the Spawn comics would stay with Soul Calibur. I just think it might have got like a couple more sales for Soul Calibur 2, but he was just a weird addition. Heihachi, he was an okay addition. I just don't think he was very exciting, considering he's in like he's a Tekken character. I think like Tekken or people that play Tekken will also play Soul Calibur, so I don't think you're really expanding your fan base or your audience with that. So I think he was just decent. So Soul Calibur 3, we did not have any other characters, but then we go into Soul Calibur 4, and this is where I think these are the worst guest characters Soul Calibur had. And that is Darth Vader, Yoda, Star Killer, and then they got the, what was it? The Star Wars, like, stage. And here's the reason why I think these are terrible guest characters. One, I don't think Star Wars fans would be into Soul Calibur, because Star Wars is more futuristic, where Soul Calibur is more like 16th century weapon fighting. So I don't think the ideas mesh very well. Secondly, I think, and this is just like a theory I have, I think Namco Bandai spent way too much money securing the rights to use Star Wars. That's why Soul Calibur 4 is such a bare bones game in terms of like game modes and just things you can do, because I think they spent most of the budget making sure they could have Star Wars. So if your guest characters are costing you that much fucking money, don't put them in the game. I think Soul Calibur 4 would have been a much better game if they did not have any guest characters in it, and especially Star Wars. And Star Wars just didn't fit with the series. In fact, the characters themselves, the Star Wars characters, had their own, like, mechanics. Like, they had their own, like, force meter, like, under their health bar. So again, it really was not a good decision to put Star Wars in a Soul Calibur game. I don't think you got any new fans. In fact, I know at least one person. I had a friend in high school who had an Xbox 360, and they got Soul Calibur because they wanted to play as the Star Wars characters, and they said they hated the game. So again, I don't think the Star Wars fan base would be receptive or become Soul Calibur fans. So yes, the Star Wars characters, awful addition. Then we get Soul Calibur 5, which had... Was that the one with Ezio? Yeah, that's the one with Ezio. They added Ezio from Assassin's Creed. I think this is a much more fitting character than, like, Star Wars, but again, I don't think getting the Assassin's Creed audience they'd be, like, long-time Soul Calibur fans. At least Ezio fits in with the kind of, like, the time frame. Sorta, kinda. He was actually a pretty cool character to play as. I liked his crossbow attack. That was super cheap and broken. But all in all, I think he was just okay. I don't think he really added anything to the Soul Calibur franchise. And now we go to... but before we get to Soul Calibur 6, there's two other games that had guest characters. There's Broken Destiny on the PSP, which had Kratos, and I think Kratos is a great addition. I think the only misstep was putting it on the PSP. I think if they added Kratos into Soul Calibur 4 and put the Star Wars characters in the PSP game, Soul Calibur as a franchise would have done much better. Because Kratos is like a solid character for Soul Calibur. He like fits in thematically. I think Soul Calibur God of War fans would appreciate like the Soul Calibur game. So I think you would actually grow your audience a little bit and actually make new like lifelong fans. So I think Kratos was a good idea. I think the only downstep was you put him on the PSP game that hardly anyone played. So there's that. And then you had Soul Calibur Legends, which had Lloyd Irving from the Tales of Symphonia. Really cool addition. I think that would be... it again, very similar to Kratos. I think that's a good addition. The only problem is you put it on the fucking Wii game. Like the Wii hack and slash game. I love that fucking game. But why would you like waste such a good guest character on like the shitty like Wii hack and slash game? Blows my mind. But then we get to Soul Calibur 6 and we have... And here's the thing about Soul Calibur 6, because I do think they had one good guest character, but it was not The Witcher. Jerry of the River should not have been on the cover of that game. It should have been 2B. I think if they put 2B on the cover of that game and gave 2B the story mode, they would have sold much better and Soul Calibur 6 would have done better as a whole, if that was the case. Again, I think The Witcher, again, he fits in thematically, but I don't think Witcher fans would want to play a Soul Calibur game. I just don't think they'd get into the series. I think they might buy Soul Calibur 6 because Jerry of the River's in it, but he's just... I don't think they'd stick with the series. But I think Nier fans would stick with the series, because I'm a big fan of Nier. I love Nier and Drakengard, and I love Soul Calibur, so I think reaching out to that fan base would increase your overall audience. So I think 2B was excellent. And then they had, what's-his-face from Samurai Showdown. I don't think he, I just had a mission. I did a mission. I don't think he really added anything. I guess he's kind of a cool addition, but I don't think you're really expanding your audience by adding Samurai Showdown characters. So we've officially covered all of the guest characters, and now I want to end the video with talking about guest characters that I think would actually like fit into Soul Calibur, get people excited about the single game that they're in, so say Soul Calibur 7, and actually expand the fan base. So the first character I want to right off the bat is Virgil from Devil May Cry. And now you might think that you should put Dante in the game, because he's the main character of Devil May Cry, but I think Virgil fits in way better than Dante. And I think he would be a better addition too. Because, one, he fits in almost perfectly with the Soul Calibur series. Because it would make sense thematically that Virgil would be searching out for Soul Edge. So the story for Virgil being in the game basically writes itself. And gameplay-wise, he'd be super cool too. We don't have very many teleporting-focused characters. I know we have, like, Cervantes and some, like, weird one-off characters that can kind of do, like, some teleport moves. But I think having a character that has, like, a whole moveset of, like, warping around and having, like, the summon swords, he's just begging to be in the game. And I think, like, Devil May Cry fans would gravitate towards Soul Calibur. Especially if Virgil's in it, I definitely think you'd be expanding your audience with that. So Virgil from Devil May Cry would be great. Second character, Pyramid Head from Silent Hill. I think it would just be cool to see him in the game. And then you could have, like, the trailer where you have, like, Pyramid Head going up against Nightmare, and that would just sell a bazillion units. And I think, like, Pyramid Head would be a great kind of, like, weird addition to the game. But again, I think it would also expand your audience in a good way. So I think Pyramid Head would be great. Also, if they add a Silent Hill stage to Soul Calibur, that stage would be freaking awesome. So Pyramid Head, I think, would be a great addition. Also, another addition that's kind of like like a dark horse, but I think would actually do the game a lot of good. Sonic the Hedgehog, but Sonic from Sonic and the Black Knight. So give Sonic a sword, give him his moveset for like from the Black Knight, and honestly, I think you would explode Soul Calibur's relevancy in, like, just gaming as a whole if you add Sonic the Hedgehog in it. I know it sounds weird, it sounds like a dark horse, but I think it would really fit. And I think even as, like, Sonic fans, I would love to see the Black Knight version of Sonic return in some game. I think if he returned in Soul Calibur, I would lose my mind. I'd actually freak out if Sonic was in Soul Calibur. Again, a strange one, but I think it would get people talking about the new game, and it would expand your audience in the long term if you put Sonic in it. There are two more characters I want to talk about, but they are not video game related. I think if they added Zoro from One Piece, that would be a great addition, mainly because One Piece is so big. You are tapping into a huge audience there. So the probability of expanding the Soul Calibur audience through that is very high. And I think Zoro may just make a great addition. He'd be really cool. And then lastly, I think Erza Scarlet from Fairy Tail would also be a good addition to the game. Not so much, it wouldn't have the appeal that One Piece would have, but I still think you would tap into a really big audience. And I think Erza as a whole would just be a great character in Soul Calibur with her different armors and, like, weapon changes. I think she'd be a very interesting, fun character to play. So, yeah, but that's pretty much all the thoughts I have on the guest characters in Soul Calibur. This video was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. But, yeah, so those are the characters that I thought did well, and, like, my picks for future guest characters in a hypothetical Soul Calibur 7. So, anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your opinions. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys in the next video. Alright, guys. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.